All right. All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. If you will stand, the Vice Mayor will have our invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance. And if you would, after we finish with the pledge, would you stay standing and let's take a moment and remember the victims and their families of 9/11. Okay?
Pray with me. Gracious God, we praise you and thank you for our city, our state, and our nation. We ask you to be with us and guide us in our decisions tonight. Bless our first responders, our military. We ask this in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome, everybody. First item on our agenda is a presentation. Charlene and Mrs. Morris, if you would join me at the podium, please. How y'all? Good? All right. These folks represent the Daughters of the American Revolution. This will be Constitution Week. They're here to represent not only their organization, but to keep our Constitution and comments about it alive. A lot of people don't think much about the Constitution this day and time. Whereas it is the privilege and the duty of the American people to commemorate the 236th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America with appropriate ceremonies and activities. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the insurance of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America designating September the 17th through the 23rd of each year as Constitution Week. Now, therefore, I, Gordon C. Helsel, Jr., Mayor of the City of Poquoson, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through the 23rd, 2023 as Constitution Week, and urge all citizens to study the Constitution and to express gratitude for the privilege of American citizenship in our republic, functioning under the superb body of laws, the Constitution of the United States of America. So Charlene, Ms. Morris, I'd like to present this proclamation to you folks. And if you would like to say something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Come prepared. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, and attendees. I want to thank the City of Poquoson City Council for issuing this proclamation in honor of Constitution Week. Constitution Week begins on September 17th, which is Constitution Day, and runs for 7 days. Now, I want to take all of you back in a time machine, back to your high school government class. Now, can you remember what you learned about this country's government structure? Do you remember this? The U.S. Constitution continues to be the inspiration for many countries as a model of how democracy would and can work. Do you remember who was the Virginia founding father and his writings of this structure? He, along with other 56 delegates of the Constitution Convention met in Philadelphia in May of 1787. They intended to amend the Articles of Confederation. They then ended up creating a new constitution, and Madison, representing Virginia, became the chief recorder of information during this process. Madison had helped develop Virginia's Constitution 11 years prior to this, and it was his Virginia plan that served as the basis for debate in the development of the U.S. Constitution. Madison argued strongly for a strong central government that would unify the country. The convention delegates met secretly through the summer and finally signed the proposed U.S. Constitution on September 17, 1787. In order for the Constitution to become the law by which all Americans abide, 2/3 of the 13 states had to ratify individually, and it was sent to them for this purpose on September 28, 1787. Madison campaigned for the ratification of the Constitution by co-authoring a series of essays with John Jay and Alexander Hamilton. Those essays appeared in various New York newspapers and then were circulated around the states. There were 85 essays in all. Mr. Madison wrote 29 of those essays. Later, they became known as the Federalist Papers. Before I bring you back to present day from your high school government class, I would like to quote the inspiring words of another great man. 150 years ago tonight, 38 weary delegates convened to a convention in Philadelphia to sign the Constitution. 4 handwritten sheets of parchment were enough to state the terms on which 13 independent, weak little republics agreed to try to survive together as one strong nation. Who spoke those words? Those are the words of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. The Charles Pierce chapter of the NSDAR, which is the National Society of Daughters of American Revolution, will travel tomorrow to the U.S. Federal Courthouse in Norfolk, where we will host and welcome 100 new Americans, which is an honor for our chapter to participate in. The chair of Constitution Week will set up a display at the Poquoson Library for all to view for the Constitution. Please take a little time and read the U.S. Constitution. And again, thank you very much for proclaiming September 17th through the 23rd U.S. Constitution Week. And good evening. You're welcome.
All right, let's move on to our audience for visitors. If there's anyone in our audience who would like to address council on any issue, we'd be delighted to hear from you now. Okay? All right. Let's move on to the approval of our minutes. It's the regular session, August 14th, 2023.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve regular session minutes for August 14th, 2023.
Okay? We got a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. We adopt our minutes from our regular session, August 14th, 2023. Ms. Kim?
Vice Mayor Freeman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Emmett.
Aye.
Councilman Fine.
Aye.
Councilman Hucks.
Aye.
Councilwoman Bunting.
Aye.
Mayor Hessel.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 6-0.
Okay, thanks, Kim. We have 3 public hearings tonight. The first one is a request for a conditional use permit by John I. Martin for the operation of aquaculture activities at 366 Cove Road, tax map parcel 40-01-00-0001, Zone BT Business Commercial. Randy? Okay, hey, Thomas.
Evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council, Mr. Manager. I do have for the first public hearing for your consideration, just as read by the mayor. It is a conditional use permit application submitted by Mr. John Martin for the operation of aquaculture activities at property he owns at 366 Cove Road. It's been legally advertised for. Per the application, and I quote, to facilitate aquaculture activities and proposed 30 by 60 foot commercial building. In conversations with the applicant, the primary use of the building will be to raise oysters from seed, maybe blue crab shedding or shedding soft crabs in the future. Here are state code definitions. So when I mention aquaculture, this is what I mean. It means the propagation, rearing, enhancement, and harvest of aquatic organisms in controlled or selected environments conducted in marine, estuarine, brackish, or fresh water. State code definitions continued. happy to come back to any of these as necessary. This is the proposed site, one I'm sure you're all familiar with. Mr. Martin's owned the property here at Cove Road for a number of years. Of course, I'll say to the east of it, for all intensive purposes, is the hill at the point. Here's the adjacent property shown better. You see the city-owned hill there, and just to the north of it is a small city-owned pump station. Permitted uses in the B2 district, something you're all very familiar with. I've shown you quite a few times. Important to note here that seafood is a permitted use, fish and seafood in the B2 district, but the code specifically says retail only, not the production of or processing thereof. Of course, here are the uses listed by CUP. I understand it's a little hard to see, but I've provided you copies at your desk of the conceptual site plan. In the blue square is a small, I believe it's 24 by 30 building that'll be used for storage of equipment related to the use. To the south of it, the larger red square is that rectangle rather, is that 30 by 60 building. That's where Mr. Martin will process and raise oysters from seed. There was 2 variances required for this site plan. It went to the Board of Zoning Appeals, and both were granted. Here, I tried to show the approximate building locations just a little better. You see the black square here is this proposed storage building, and of course, the yellow will be the 30 by 60 processing building. Just a few proposed conditions, Mr. Mayor. The first is that the permit allows for agricultural activities as it's defined by the state code, so that if Mr. Martin wants to expand the process from oysters to crabs, he can do so. The second condition, in concert with the code, is that at no time shall seafood retail be conducted on site unless necessary site improvements are approved by the City of Poquoson and other necessary agencies. Permitted activities are defined by aquaculture, the related processing thereof, and solely the wholesale thereof. The third condition is that approval of the permit shall be granted with strict adherence to the submitted site plan concerning the size and location of buildings and is subject to all necessary approvals by the BZA, which I mentioned they were given. The fourth, the use must comply with all state, local, state, and federal permits, licenses, and regulations. If at any time the use is discontinued for a period of 2 or more years, the permit shall become null and void. And the sixth is that you all reserve the right to amend the conditions of the permit as they see fit. The Planning Commission made a recommendation unanimously to approve, and staff recommends approval as well. This just speaks to the actions I've already mentioned. And Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to answer any questions you or members of council may have.
All right, Thomas, first of all, well done. Randy,
Thomas, can you go back to the first picture you showed? That one. I just wanted to point out that that boat immediately to the left, the dock, for the first time since Hurricane Isabel, is no longer there.
good job, Mr. City Manager.
It is all public works.
Any questions of Thomas? Okay, pal, thank you. Well done. What a welcome business. And gentleman and his wife who are going to operate, well, not operate that, but certainly own it. Tickled to death you're going to bring that aquaculture to Messer Point. That's great. Good for the city, good for them. So, it is a resolution in your packet. Open it. So let me open the public hearing and ask if there's anyone in our audience who would like to address the request for this conditional use permit. Okay, no hands. I'll close the public hearing and ask for council's action, please.
Mr. Mayor, I approve a resolution, I propose a resolution to approve conditional use permit for the operation of aquacultural activities to be located at 336 Cove Road, tax map parcel 04-01-00-001, zoned B2 business commercial.
Okay? Just a second. All right, we have a motion second that we approve the resolution. Any concerns, comments, any questions? If not, Ms. Kim?
Councilman Hucks,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Emmett. Aye. Councilwoman Bunting,
Aye.
Councilman Fye,
Aye.
Mayor Hessel.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 6 to
Okay, thanks, Kim. Second public hearing is a request for a conditional use permit by NVS Properties 31 LLC for the operation of a private school at 2 Victory Boulevard, tax map parcel 2701000107, zone B2 business and commercial. Thomas?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Presentation exactly as read is for a private school at 2 Victory Boulevard. Legally advertised for and adjacent letters were sent to necessary property owners. About the use, Mr. Mayor, the desired use is to operate a private school for children ages 0 to 6. One can imagine that it is similar to a daycare. However, the state code tells us that the compulsory age for education in Virginia is 5 years old by September 30th, and seeing as that the operation will offer services to children over that age, it is considered a private school. This is the proposed site, one I'm sure you're all familiar with. I show it there on the left, 2 Victory, the former home of Wells Fargo. The picture on the right I may speak to later. Permitted uses in the B2 district. You'll see there the 5th and 6th in red. It mentions preschools, daycare centers, nursery schools, technical, vocation, or business schools, or places of worship, including accessory parochial schools, daycare centers, and cemeteries. Saying is that the code doesn't specifically mention private schools. That's why it's before you for your consideration. This is a conceptual subdivision plan for the property. The reason I've included this is because it's a multifaceted project, incorporates a few different uses. The one, of course, for your consideration tonight is the private school. I did orient it slightly different so that it matches the site plan, the conceptual before you. This is a conceptual subdivision plan of the current property. This is the conceptual site plan. You can see in what I'll say in the middle of it where the existing building is where the proposed private school will be located. Again, this is conceptual. You can see that the site will be improved, I'll say drastically, to include a lot more parking as required per code and an addition to the current building. I would note that the conceptual plan shows a small part of the addition in the front setback of Wythe Creek Road, but the applicant has conveyed to us that the building will be backed up out of the setback and a variance won't be necessary. You see on the left side, new building, a new proposal, that is to be a Starbucks drive-through restaurant. And at the bottom of the conceptual site plan is where Taylor's dental office is and will remain with new parking, and their property lines will change just a bit.
Thomas?
Yes, sir.
Because not everyone can really see the fine detail of that, would you explain to folks what the dark area essentially in
Sure.
the middle between the Wells Fargo building and Dr. Taylor's is?
Yes, sir. The dark portion between the bank building and the Taylor Dental is a number of playgrounds for the children of the private school, broken out in different age groups. The property line comes all the way down and basically hugs the playground area here, and along the exterior of it, of course, will be fenced. The Plan Commission recommended approval of the conditional use permit by a vote of 4-0 with one amended condition. The original condition we took to Planning Commission was what I have struck through. It read that the applicant shall provide a traffic impact study to the city engineer in conjunction with site plan submission, and any traffic calming measures shall be agreed to and installed per submitted plans at a time agreeable to the city. The applicant offered a slight amendment that reads, "The applicant shall provide trip generation values associated with the private school peak hours in conjunction with site plan submission." The applicant did that. It's included in your packet. And the city, obviously, we have received it, and the condition was seen as friendly by staff and was incorporated in the Planning Commission's approval recommendation. That is the end of my presentation, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to answer any questions you or any other members of
All right,
council
Thomas.
have.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, Thomas, you referenced on like your second slide that you were going to come back to a picture.
Yes,
So-
I can. Just an example of traffic improvements, Mr. Mayor, was the picture on the right. You can see that this turn lane into the property isn't necessarily striped properly. That is an improvement that we, the city, will make it at the necessary time, but as far as improvements on site, I believe that we'll be able to work through those through the site plan approval process, and the applicant has provided us with the trip generation analysis as required by the engineer.
All right, no other questions of Thomas? Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Let's open the public hearing and ask if there's anyone in our audience who would like to address this issue. Okay, see none. We have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I propose,
Hold on.
I have a question.
Okay.
One of the things I was going to propose is that we add a seventh condition in here. For those that don't know, back in 2015, at the urging of the Parks and Rec Advisory Board, I became a certified playground safety inspector, and I have used that most recently, just last month, inspecting the playgrounds of the city schools, whereupon I submit them a report and they make the corrections to it. This is the first playground we've had in the city in quite some time, and I'd like to see that it follows a proper coding that we normally have. It's not difficult. Basically, it's that the playground equipment that they're going to have would be used in accordance with the playground safety standards and guidelines established by the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, as found in the Public Safety Playground Safety Handbook. And it's not that tough, but I think it's good because these are our little ones. They need to be protected at all costs, and it's just a prudent thing to do, I think.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Canella specifically shared this possible condition with the applicant, and though I'll not speak for them, the indication was that they didn't have any problem with the addition. But they're here to speak to it if you would like to call them forward.
Excellent.
Okay, so you want that added
Yes, that's a
to the
seventh.
conditions? Okay, so we need to motion regarding that, is that true?
Kim has basically a changed proposal, which adds number 7.
It's kind of neat to have a certified playground equipment person on the council.
One more, I think, actually, we need 2 more.
What'd I do? I got mine.
All right.
Thanks, Kim.
Now, so I won't take time to read this, even to myself, but I'm assuming this just talks about
Page 2.
Councilman Fye.
That's what Councilman Fay just read, right?
Okay. So we're going to depend on Councilman Fye to make sure that this playground is, the safety standards are met. Is that it? Okay. Get a motion to that effect? Add it to the conditions?
Mr. Mayor, I move we add condition 7, which is the certified playground equipment that's in accordance with the safety guidelines published by the Consumer Product Safety Commission.
Okay.
I second that.
Okay. Motion made and seconded that we add that condition. Ms. Kim?
Vice Mayor Freeman.
Aye.
Councilman Hux.
Aye.
Councilwoman Bunting.
Aye.
Councilman Fye.
Aye.
Councilwoman Emmett. Aye. Mayor Hessel.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 6-0.
Okay, that done. Before we ask for a vote, David?
Thank you, Gordon. Due to ongoing changes to our entire commercial corridor, it would behoove us to conduct a traffic study to advise us of actions that may be necessary to ensure the efficient flow of traffic. To that end, can we please reach a council consensus to provide direction to the city manager to request funding for this traffic study in the fiscal year 2025 budget?
Okay.
Is that a motion?
Yeah.
That was a motion.
Wes, it's not on, it's not, wait,
Is that a motion to amend the resolution that's before you? Is it a separate motion? I'm not sure what the proper motion to amend the resolution that's before you, because it doesn't apply specifically to that resolution unless you're going to amend the resolution to also include this provision.
Okay, suppose, can we just do a consensus by,
Do all the
members of
consensus, do
council?
all the consensus you want.
well, that's what I mean, you know, is that, would that satisfy Dave?
Yes, sir. It's
Okay,
just
so
requesting a consensus
Is there
of
anybody
council.
opposed to that? Okay, I'm seeing anything, so by consensus, Mr. Manager,
Got it, sir.
you understand?
I
Okay.
do.
Thank
All
you.
right,
I
good
have a
deal.
discussion
All right.
question on that.
Go ahead.
Would, if we put it in the 2025 budget, will there be enough operation of both legacy and school operations so that we have a good idea of what needs to be studied, or will we still be kind of anticipating and speculating?
Go ahead, Randy, I'm
Address
sorry.
that? Well, the FY '25 budget would be the budget upcoming, so you're talking about money that would become available sometime after July of next year to be spent in the 12-month period normally following it. So we're talking almost 18 months. Legacy will be substantially advanced by then, and our expectation would be the school would be in operation, as would the Starbucks next door. So I don't think we would want to wait until Legacy did a complete build-out. We may want to do an update to that when Legacy gets closer to its final build-out, but I think that given the pace of construction and just the overall changes in the corridor, that sometime a year from now, year to a year and a half at the latest, we'd be in good position to do that.
Well, I guess we can talk about the parameters of the traffic study later on.
Yes.
So I think it should probably come from the city limits all the way to With Creek and on down a little Florida, a little ways, and then up and down With Creek as well.
That is what we're envisioning, sir.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? All right, let's see if we can approve it.
Mr. Mayor, I propose a resolution to approve a conditional use permit by VNS Properties 31 LLC for the operation of a private school at 2 Victory Boulevard, tax map parcel 27-01-00-0107, zoned B2 Business Commercial.
Second.
All right, our motion made and second that we adopt that resolution. Any concerns, comments, any questions? Okay, Kim?
Vice Mayor Freeman.
Aye.
Councilman Hucks.
Aye.
Councilwoman Bunting.
Aye.
Councilman Fye.
Aye.
Councilwoman Emmett.
Aye.
Mayor Hessel.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 6-0.
Okay, thanks, Kim. Third public hearing is a request for an amendment to the master plan by Lamont Myers for the legacy of Poquoson to incorporate a .77 acre split parcel owned by the city of Poquoson, identified as tax map parcel 27-12-3 to the legacy development. Randy?
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Horton is going to
Okay.
present for staff this evening.
Hey, Wally.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening. Mr. Vice Chair, members of council, staff, everybody. This is an application from Lamont Myers. Buddy Spencer is actually here tonight to talk on behalf of Big Woods, if there are any questions that he can answer. It is, as the mayor pointed out, a request for an amendment to the master plan for the legacy of Poquoson to incorporate, excuse me, a .77 acre split parcel owned by the city of Poquoson, identified as tax map parcel 2712-3 into legacy development, which is zoned research and development and village commercial, but it was also overlay zoned for planned unit development and mixed use in August of 2015, which required a master plan. This proposed change does require a master plan amendment, And I will tell you that the folks at Legacy have already submitted a master plan amendment. Of course, we can't approve it until, unless and if City Council approves this. This was legally advertised for the Planning Commission and the City Council. Jade's letters were sent to all the necessary property owners on August 8th and again on August 28th for the City Council meeting. Just a little bit of background, which 5 out of the 7 council members, I think, were here when this was done. The City Council accepted a purchase proposal from the Big Woods Development Company, who is the developer of the Legacy of Poquoson project, for obtaining a city-owned parcel totaling .77 acres and depicted on a plat provided by the Big Woods Development Company, LLC, which is included in the application materials. The parcel is bifurcated by Oxford Run. It's owned by the city and is depicted as City of Poquoson north part of Lot 3 and City of Poquoson, it's a mouthful, south part of Lot 3, and as referenced in the city's invitation and bids published April 27th, 2023 and May 3rd, 2023. The City Council did vote to proceed with the purchase. Master Plan Amendment is a separate process requiring Planning Commission recommendation and City Council approval, hence this application for a Master Plan Amendment. I will tell you, I think I've got it later in this presentation, but the Planning Commission did recommend approval by a 4-0 vote at its hearing in August 21st. One thing to note, if this master plan amendment is not approved, the development of Legacy shall proceed in accord with all previous master plan approvals and not this proposal that you're looking at tonight. The applicant wants to use the additional .77 acre parcel to shift the location of a BMP and add 4 lots. 3 of these added lots will be off Waterman's Way, and the other lot will be located on the pond front of Poquoson Path. I want to depart a little bit from the presentation here and just point out that the original approval was for 238 single-family homes, 108 townhomes, 11 cottages, and 200 apartments. Where Legacy stands right now, forget this amendment, but where they stand right now is 212 single-family homes, 105 townhomes, 8 cottages, and 176 apartments. So that's significantly less than what they were approved for. What this proposal will do will allow them to get back 4 single-family dwelling lots, bringing them to 216 single-family dwelling lots. I will get to these sheets. These are included in your packet that points out the area that Legacy is talking about adding. Here's the approved master plan that was approved again on August 24th, 2015. You can see I've got the city-owned property, sort of light blue arrow pointing to it. On this aerial, I've got City Hall, and in beige, I've got the area of the city-owned property that will be added. I will point out that development on Legacy has moved ahead quite a bit since this picture was taken. They are moving rather fast. I think we're up to 39 or 40 COs now. Yeah, so they're moving ahead. This is the proposal shown again. And a sheet C50, also included in your materials. Here's the amended master plan, a portion of, and I'm going to go in for sort of a close-up here. The approved master plan back in 2015 showed the BMP sort of shunted to the south of the city-owned lot. What the Big Woods Development Company, what Legacy wants to do is they want to move the BMP to the north, allowing for 3 additional homes. You'll see that number 2 there, 3 lots created off Waterman's Way, and 1 lot, that 3 there, off Poquoson Path that abuts the BMP pond. So that's essentially what they want to do. At this point, I'll be happy to answer any additional questions the council may have.
Ronnie, thank you. Good job.
Can I ask a question? Wally, can you go back like one picture?
Yes.
I think one. I may ask you to do two. Go back one more, please.
Okay.
Even one more. I lost track.
Okay.
All right. This will, again, it's hard for folks to see, so I just wanted to point this out. You'll see those two triangle parcels in yellow. That's what we're talking about. And in between that is the Oxford Run ditch system. That is the one that's basically running from left to right on the slight diagonal going
Yes.
down. And then what I really wanted to point out is you'll see a portion of a public road to be constructed across this property. Just point out that whether or not City Council approves this particular master plan amendment, the public road will still be constructed in that space.
It will. It will. And of course, that will eventually go back to the city as part of the public road dedication.
Thank you.
Okay, questions for Wally? Okay, Wally, thank you, sir. Let's open the public hearing and see if there's anyone in our audience that would like to address this issue. The council's about to consider. Okay? Mr. Vice Mayor?
Mr. Mayor, I propose a resolution to approve a master plan amendment for legacy of Poquoson Plan Development to incorporate a .77 acre split parcel owned by the city of Poquoson and identified as tax map parcel 27-12-3 into the legacy development overlay zone to the planning unit development mixed use district, which requires a master plan.
All righty, is there a second?
Second.
All right, a motion made and second to adopt that resolution. Any other concerns, any comments? Additional questions? If not, Ms. Kim?
Councilwoman Bunting?
No.
Councilman Fye?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman?
Aye.
Councilman Hucks?
Aye.
Councilwoman Emmett? Aye. Mayor Hessel?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 5-1.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Let's move on to new business. First item is an ordinance making additional appropriations for fiscal year 2024, the Debt Services Fund and Capital Projects Fund, City Hall roof. Ms. Tanya.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. Thank you for allowing me to present this to you tonight. For some of our newest members, we've had some issues in the past as it relates to air conditioning units, so we wanted to make sure absolutely we had this right going forward. So tonight I'm bringing forward the city roof. It did what it's supposed to do 25 years ago. It has protected us. It has worn out just slightly. It's about 90% ready to be replaced. There is 10% over top of the lobby area that's actually doing its job. There's no concern there, but the membrane on top of the roof is starting to give way and it's time to replace. Back in '22, we appropriated $140,000. Unfortunately, we thought that's all we needed at that time, but as we had the experts get on the roof and did infrared scanning of it to make sure we were correct with that, we have found out the price tag is really $500,000. So I'm asking for additional appropriation of $243,341 that comes from the additional bond money for the fire apparatus, as well as $146,659 from bond interest that we have earned through the years. Additionally, we're going to be utilizing Garland Roofing. It is from the Omnia Partners. It's a national cooperative purchasing agreement that we have, which allows us to do this quicker versus putting it out to bid. So in addition to the appropriation, I need you to authorize our city manager to sign into contract because it exceeds his authority.
Okay, thank you,
Any
ma'am.
questions, any concerns?
Just a comment, you know, I understand we have a problem with the roof and it needs to be replaced. That's pretty simple. Okay, any comments from council? There's an ordinance attached. If we could do that, please.
Mr. Mayor, I propose an ordinance making additional appropriations for fiscal year 2024 in the Debt Service Fund and Capital Projects Fund, City Hall roof.
All right, we have a motion made and seconded. We adopt the ordinance. Any concerns, comments, any other questions of Tanya? Good job, by the way. Thank you. Okay, Kim?
Councilwoman Emmett? Aye. Councilman Hucks?
Aye.
Councilman Fye?
Aye.
Councilwoman Bunting?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman?
Aye.
Mayor Hessel?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 6-0.
Okay, thanks, Kim. Second item under new business, resolution authorizing the city manager into a contract with the, is it Baylor Corps? Is that close?
It's close. Tara, I can
Baylor
speak.
Corps, LLC for construction of the public safety building. Mr. Tara?
Good evening, Mayor
Good
Hessel
evening.
and council members. We are very excited to bring this to you this evening. In fiscal year 2023, the adopted budget, City Council approved the construction of the public safety building, which will be financed by ARPA funds as well as bond proceeds that were issued last September. This building will include the police department, fire administration, and the emergency operations center. It will be a one-story building consisting of 20,060 square feet and will be built on the city-owned vacant parcels at the entrance of the City Hall Avenue. In October of 2022, the city contracted with HBA Architecture and Interior Design to develop the building design and provide a complete set of bid documents. So we were able to issue an invitation for bid on July 13th, and bids were due on August 24th. We received 7 bids to be considered for contract award, and Ballacor LLC was determined to be the lowest qualified, responsive, and responsible bidder. We have checked references. Additionally, HBA reviewed all of the bids and recommends Ballacor for approval tonight. Therefore, you have an attached resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Ballacor LLC in the amount of $9,269,000 for the construction of the public safety building. And I would be happy to answer any questions you may
Hey,
have.
Tara, thank you. Well done. Any questions of Tara? We kind of talked about this. We can't talk about it anymore. I'm excited that it's moving along. Okay, thank you, ma'am. All right, we need a motion.
All right, Mr. Mayor, I propose a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Ballacor LLC.
Second.
All right. Motion made second. We adopt the resolutions. Any resolution? Any concerns, comments? Any further questions? If not, Ms. Kim.
Councilman Fye? Aye. Councilwoman Bunting?
Aye.
Councilwoman Emmett?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman?
Aye.
Councilman Hucks?
Aye.
Mayor Hessel?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 6-0.
Thanks, Kim. Last item on the new business, resolution making an appointment to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Someone has some names or a name?
Mr. Mayor, I propose a resolution making an appointment to the Parks and Rec Advisory Board with the name of John Quinn, served from the Central Precinct.
Okay. All right. The second?
Second.
All right. A motion made second. We adopt the resolution with that name inserted. Any comments, questions? I don't think so. Ms. Kim?
Vice Mayor Freeman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Emmett?
Aye.
Councilman Fye?
Aye.
Councilman Hucks?
Aye.
Councilwoman Bunting?
Aye.
Mayor Hessel?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 6-0.
All right. Thanks, Kim. Randy, any comments?
2 things, Mr. Mayor. I referenced one a few minutes ago, but not only is the boat next to Mr. Martin's property, the derelict boat, been removed, but the one on the other side of Messick as well. Really want to thank John Anderson specifically in Public Works, but I also want to thank Citizen Tom Powers, who brought this new grant program that paid for it from the state of Virginia to our attention. So thanks to all involved. They're both gone.
Good. That's good.
The other thing, I just wanted to take a moment and to thank you for your vote on the public safety building. This is a generational investment in both men and women that serve, but also in the community that they, and it is fitting, although an accident of schedule, but very fitting that we make that investment. That's all I have, sir.
Okay, thank you. Angie?
I just want to make note, I'm very excited about the aquaculture use over at Messick. I think that is very much the right use in the right place. And then also, I'd like to thank Councilman Hucks for proposing the traffic study along the corridor. I think that's much needed, so thank you for proposing that.
Okay. Eddie?
Thank you, Gordon. I have no comment tonight.
Okay. Ms. Debbie?
Congratulations to John Quinn for being named on the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. always wonderful when citizens come forward, so congratulations and thank you.
Keith?
Yes, on the 29th of August, I was able to go down to the Virginia Peninsula Food Bank and help them load boxes and things like that. Found out that there is a definite lack of food so far this year. They're hoping that it'll be corrected by Congress that will enact the farm bill, which I did not realize, but do now, that that is a major source of the food that comes to food banks across the country. And it was enjoyable being down there helping out, just seeing how much more we can do. And they're going to come with us and help make sure that we get our food pantry up and running really well.
That's great, Keith. I'm glad you're participating in that. We need somebody doing that, and that's you perfect choice for it. Mr. Vice Mayor?
The only thing is just another reminder, although we talked about this at the first of the meeting, exactly 22 years ago, our country was attacked. And that's something that we should keep in mind, and as the slogan goes, we should never forget. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Well said. Okay. I'm sorry. Any other comments? Okay. Motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Second. All right, Ms. Kim?
Councilman Hux.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Emmett.
Aye.
Councilwoman Bunting.
Aye.
Councilman Fye.
Aye.
Mayor Hessel.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 6-0.
All right. Thank you, man. We are adjourned.
Well done.